DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We have tickets to give away to see a Utah Jazz game. We'll do that at the end of this segment. It's to see the Jazz play the Lakers Sunday, 6 o'clock. And we'll give those away at the end of the segment. But first, we need to speak with one David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz. David, good morning.
DJ PK in the morning. Gosh, my life, it's the completion each week of perfection, to talk to two brilliant people, learn a little bit, take in their greatness through osmosis, and frankly, while people are being enticed and forced to listen because there's Jazz Lakers tickets on the line at the end of the segment, and so they have to listen whether they want to or not. I really think it's a fabulous thing that we're forcing people to listen to this babble while I get to take in the greatness of the two of you. Thank you.
You're welcome, David.
Okay. Jazz Lakers, you get to see LeBron at 40, whatever years old. Well, maybe the last time, maybe the second last time. I would listen to whatever garbage I spew just to have a chance to win those tickets.
We always want updates on the young guys and what you're seeing, acknowledging it's a work in progress, and whatever you say, however true it might be today, it might not be true in a month or two or three. Well, let's just go with what you're seeing today. Isaiah Collier didn't get to play at the start of the season. He missed a few games, I think about 8 of them. And he's now played in a half dozen games, and he's shooting it better. But the thing that impresses me is he seems to get into the paint pretty much whenever he wants. Has he established himself in your mind? Is this a guy who's going to, regardless of what the ceiling is, and if you've got an idea on that, please share. But as a base, as he said, as a guy who this is going to play in the league and be a backup point guard and be on rosters for a few years here, based on his size, his strength, and his ability to get in the paint, break the paint, as Quinn Snyder used to say.
All right, can we big picture this for a second?
Please do.
Move off this. This ruins our conversations for the future, but let's just have the moment of reality, and then we can move into
Okay.
So, Walker Kessler, year 2 to year 3, did what?
From year 2 to year 3, took a big jump.
And Keontae George is doing what?
Taking a jump.
At what point?
Year 3.
Right. So let's just make sure we understand that, right? As we talk about all these players and all these other things, like there's a real element here that year 2 to year 3 for most players, it's usually year 3 to year 4 on bigs, is when the progress is made. And so trying to make whole big time comments about Isaiah Collier in month 15 of his career is probably a little foolhardy. So just as long as we have that established,
that's why
we can continue the conversation.
Right, and that's why I said in a month or 2 or 3, you'll have more information, you may have a new opinion. I totally get that.
Right.
I'm just thinking of what you're seeing now.
Yes. Yeah. I just think we're really being slapped in the face by how obvious the progression of players is right now when we're watching Keontae, who, quite honestly wasn't very good for 2 years and has been really great so far this year. So I think the strengths you're mentioning on Isaiah Collier are terrific. He's a blur. He's got great strength. He's got great vision. On a team where not a lot of guys can beat people one-on-one, he can get into the paint. I'm not sure what I've seen about his finishing, whether it's any different than it's been in years past and whether he's better or not. Like, that's not entirely clear to me right now. So I think now on the flip side, like you said he's shooting better. He actually doesn't shoot a 3. He has actually gone, I think, about 70 minutes without taking a 3. As a guard in this era, that's unique. In fact, if you go look at anybody this season who's done that, their names are Jalen Duren, Rudy Gobert, Isaiah Hartenstein, Nick Claxton. There's 12 guys. Ryan Clockenburner, Mose Diabate. Yeah, Ryan Mose Diabate. There are 12 guys in the league other than Isaiah Collier that have played the amount of I think it's just have gone 80 whatever minutes without taking a 3, and they're all 7-footers. I understand that's like on one level you say, well, that's getting to know yourself, and that's great, and that's playing to your strengths. That's great. But in the Laker game, they didn't guard Isaiah. They were 5 feet off him. And our offense, when he was on the floor, partially because he sometimes plays without Keontae or without Lowry, so there's more to the picture than just this. Mm-hmm. But when he was on the floor, our scoring, I think, was like, I haven't looked at it, but I mean, just calling the game, we couldn't. It felt like we were really struggling to score while he was on the floor, really struggling. And so, yes, those strengths are awesome. But going back to a Will Hardy quote of last year, when Will basically said, you got to make sure your weaknesses aren't so big that they prevent us from doing anything. So if your defense is so bad that everyone just calls you up every single time and there's no scheme that we can play because they're just going to space the floor and put you in action, then it's hard to play you. And if your offense is if your shooting is so limited or something else about your games, your handle or something else, that we can't run our sets because of then that's a problem. And I don't think it's a problem yet, but let's keep an eye on it.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And I will have you know that Ryan Clockbrenner. Clockenberry, yeah. Yeah, he went.
Your favorite? Is he your favorite player?
Now he is. Yeah. He had 8 of 8 shooting in 26 minutes as the Hornets snapped a 3-game losing streak. He had 9 boards, 3 block shots, and 1 assist. Kid's a player. My goodness.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah. Speaking
Actually,
of,
what is his shooting percentage right now? Is it like 88%?
And that's because he went into a shooting slump. No, he's 83.3 if you want him to be accurate.
Yeah, like
he's 50 of 60 from the field.
He literally had a stretch either to open the season or from games like 2 to 9 where he made something like 18, 20 straight shots.
Right. He has the best field goal percentage by any player through the first 11 games of a career since the NBA-ABA merger. So let's not sleep on Ryan Clockenberner.
Right. There's got to be Ryan Clockenberner love at all times.
And there is Lowry Markkanen love at all times. And my question for you, as you've been on record saying that when the Jazz make their next playoff appearance, which we hope will be sooner rather than later, he will be on the team, right? So with that as the premise that he will be on the team, where would he fit in the pecking order on the team offensively?
Well, originally when I made that comment, I assumed he would be kind of 2A, 2B, that somebody would have emerged as a star.
Uh-huh.
And then he would be your second or third best player. I've always thought he had to be your third best player on a good team. I don't think that's true anymore. I think he can be the second best player by himself. I think he's elevated his game. He's playing with a power, passing a little more than he used to. He's really been impressive.
No question.
Playing with a force, Now, you got to have a coach like Will Hardy deserves a lot of credit here. Now, because he's using Lowry Markkanen correctly, right? Like Lowry Markkanen in Chicago they tried him as a ball handling. If you go back and look, he ran a bunch of pick and rolls, and he did a bunch of this, and he did a bunch of that, and failed miserably. And it was all part of his development. And then for whatever weird reason, that organization decided, actually, no, we don't really believe in you. And they cut the cord on him. And then Cleveland used him as a spot-up shooter out on the wing, which he was great at, but that's really how they used him. And Will Hardy and the Jazz have used him as an off-ball player, both inside the three-point arc this year, much more than they have in the past, and also going to shoot threes and allowing him to tight curl in the lane. But this guy is scoring at a rate where he dribbles less than Klay Thompson did. Like, that's pretty crazy. He's really, J.J. Redick referred to him as a 7-foot-tall Steph Curry. I've referred to him as a 7-foot-tall Klay Thompson. It's really what he is. He's a 7-1 shooting guard who's able to play both inside the arc and outside the arc because of his power. But he's coming off sets. He's not self-creating. He did self-create
2 early baskets against the Lakers, which told me the Lakers had some game plan on him that was different. But he's not, and will be interesting to see if the Jazz can do anything tonight on handoffs or off-ball screens, because Oklahoma City just blows that stuff up. Maybe Oklahoma City might not be the standard by which you decide whether you can do things or not. They're so good. Lowry has to be in the right system and be used correctly, and so his off-ball action, along with a primary ball handler that's really, really good, could be something that's really special on a really good team. Even like an Austin Reeves or something like that.
Getting back to your point about the coaching staff and how they're using him, they've used him, and I don't remember if it was the Atlanta. It really jumped out at me, though. It was either Atlanta or Chicago. It was a home game, and they ran a pick and roll, and he was the screener. And whoever had the ball was right in front of the visitor's bench, right in front of it. And I don't remember if it was Keontae or Collier. I think it was Keontae. But anyway, he sets the screen. They go to switch it, and he immediately rolls, and he's got the defender pinned. He's got a clear path to the hoop. He gets the pass. He dunks. Can they do that kind of stuff all the time, or can they only do that because Kessler's out? With Kessler on the floor, there's nowhere to space Kessler. So I'm wondering how much the absence of Kessler, which is a massive problem at the defensive end of the floor, is making the game even easier for him offensively. And I wonder how much of that they can keep doing with Kessler on the floor, or when Kessler's healthy, maybe they offset these guys' minutes and they get all shooters out on the floor and it open up. So because then he really goes to work in the paint, and the other team basically has no chance.
So much there. Great question. And the wonderful thing is I can just try to answer.
Statement.
Yeah, it was a statement. So brilliant insight.
Can they do this without
smart. It's overwhelming to me how smart you are. You're brilliant. How's that? But no, it's great. You're on it. So just statistically, the Jazz were having Lowry set a pick about 3 times a game last year, maybe even last twice. And now he's setting picks about 13 to 14 times a game. That is partially because Kessler's out and we have no rolling big, and Keontae and Yusuf Nurkic going into the Laker game were the worst pick and roll combination in the NBA. Nurkic is not a good rolling big. So there's some of that, but it's also because of exactly what you're saying, is that Lowry's now playing more physically and rolling people into the post and doing that. In regards to whether it's because Walker's off the floor, I think it's Walker's off the floor in the sense that they need somebody to set picks, and they don't have great pick and roll options otherwise. And with Nurkic, if the big would just drop into Keontae and Keontae just have nowhere to go. The second thing is I think Walker's offensive rebounding presence, the best offensive rebounding this side of Steven Adams last year in the NBA, means you could play Walker in the dunker spot, which is right or left of the basket, and the opponent would not be able to leave him because of his offensive rebounding. So you can still run Keontae, Lowry, pick and rolls with Walker on the floor. So I do not think it's because there's maybe a little more room, but I actually don't think Walker's offensive rebounding prowess means that there's enough gravity to him that he would not impact the spacing by being in the dunker. We're seeing that with Houston right now, who's doing a bunch of this with Steven Adams, and they actually even have Amon Thompson on the floor who can't shoot, and he's slicing on the baseline as another action that is taking gravity, and they're somehow creating massive amounts of space with it. There's a little bit of a space revolution going on in the NBA right now, that offensive rebounding and cutters are creating space for shooters and drivers, and suddenly, as much as everybody wanted to play 5 out to create space, there's also a reality that if you have 4 out or even 3 out, you have wider driving lanes. And so more and more teams, in my opinion, are playing 4 out with anyone they want at the dunker because it's creating better driving lanes. In the case of Houston, they're almost playing 3 out because Amon Thompson's going to slice at some point in every possession, and you have to guard him.
You talk about Lowry being the second best player on a Jazz playoff team. Is the best player on the roster in college, in the NBA, or over in Europe?
I mean, Ace has got the most potential to be the best player. And then, obviously, I don't know how the lottery ping pong balls will follow, and I have not watched these kids yet. And they're, 3 or 4 years away because that's the reality. maybe 2 or 3 years away if they're that good. So it's a great question. I would suspect, I don't know. I mean, Ace is really good. Like, he's got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I actually got unlocked on Jazz today. I did questions on Fridays, and I got asked, like, what's the most surprising thing and most, like, maybe disappointing thing. It wasn't how they phrased it, but it's like biggest surprise and biggest disappointment or something. And I actually think what's really interesting about Ace so far this year is if I answered that question, I almost would take both sides of the same coin. And so what I mean by that is if I had something that was probably the most disappointing, it's just his, like, basketball knowledge or, like, education is behind, like how to defend, where to move, how defensive systems work, things like that. But his basketball instincts are way better than I ever expected, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Right? So, like, he's in open floor guarding someone, he reaches out and grabs them every time. It's like, dude, did anyone ever teach you how to play defense? Evidently not. And you watch him on some rotations, and if it takes him a second or two to, like, understand conceptually what's taking place. But you also watch him, like, in the open floor, cut someone off, and it's completely instinctual. It's amazing. Or when he drives and drops off a pass to Lowry for a dunk, or the other night he had one in L.A. where he drove and dished something, or when he sees a driving lane, those things are just not teachable, and he does those really, really well. So there's an interesting mix of instincts are incredible, knowledge is behind the curve. That's actually that's the equation you want. If your instincts are bad and your knowledge is good, then there's nothing you can ever do to get better. If you just need knowledge, we can teach you. And his instincts are incredible.
We get questions every week. I'm finally going to ask it. People want to know if you're on a rowing machine, if you're on a treadmill. Are you skiing? You can't be skiing. We don't have enough snow yet. What's going on?
So I go to the gym at 9 a.m. every morning, and I post my podcast at 8:30 every morning, and so you have me transitioning into the car every morning.
That's what.
Or maybe I'm in condition, and I'm just gasping for air because of the excitement I have from talking to you. It kind of the short.
Yeah, it was very short.
That was short. He punctuated that.